Today on People with Passion for Pets, we talk to Megan Weaver. Megan is a veterinary technician and canine rehabilitation practitioner, and she started her own company out of her love for senior pets called the Senior Pet Movement. Hi, Megan.
Good
Hello
morning.
there. How are you?
We're blessed. How are you
Morning.
doing?
Good morning.
Good. I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful. So excited to be here.
You have a website called the Senior Pet Movement, and you refer to yourself as a senior pet advocate.
Yes.
That's awesome.
right.
So tell our viewers a little bit about what it is that you do.
Yeah. So our whole motto is educating pet owners to give their pets the best quality of life possible throughout their senior years. Honestly, my send off on my emails are age is not a disease, so enjoy the journey. Because when people say, you know, my dog is getting old and just leave them in the corner, that's not what we want them to do. We want them to move around. We want them to be in tune with their dog, to know what he needs, and kind of the journey is really growing with them as they age, you know, from a puppy all the way to senior years. And I think it's just more education that people need to know to make sure that, you know, it gets out there to the world.
You know, and that's really great. And what I love is it's not just your website, it's not just about selling products that may be great for senior pets. It's really about educating people. And one of the biggest things is to become a pet owner that can support an elderly dog, right? So I noticed you also do some seminars. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Yeah, so I have a massage workshop for dogs and cats. And I honestly think massage is one of the best things you can do for your animal as they age, because especially with arthritis, they're going to have tight muscles that come along with those joints. And you're going to want to know how to be able to massage that back out to give them the best quality of life possible while they're, you know, trying to get around as best as possible. I also have a free Pet Cbd training. So I want the owners to be informed about what CBD could actually bring to the table for their pet. So, you know, I do really love companion CBD, but I want them to make an informed decision. So they can, you know, I teach them how to, you know, find a product out there that they would really enjoy. And then I have a handout that says 8 things your senior pet wants you to know, or 8 things your senior cat demands you to know. And it's because I want people to know how they can put things in their house or make changes in their house that can help their senior dog or senior cat, you know, as in put in really comfy arthritic beds, or make sure there's water on every floor. Or use a help them up harness. You know, it's just little tweaks here and there can actually make your pet a lot more comfortable as they age.
No, and that is such a good point. I mean, years ago, we had an elderly Chesapeake Bay Retriever, and he would slide on our floors when he tried to get up. And we found these little doggy socks that you can put on, and they'll give a little traction.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes it's like the little things that really make such a big difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just throw down some rugs on the floor, yoga mats or something where they turn, you know, it's things that you just don't necessarily think about sometimes.
Well, how did you get started in this?
Yeah, honestly, it was when I adopted a senior dog when I was 23, fresh out of college, which I'm sure, I don't know, as a 23-year-old, that's the best thing to do, to tie yourself down to a dog. But Jack was wonderful, and he was one of the best things I've ever done. So I adopted him when I was working at a vet practice after I graduated and got my bachelor's in biology down in Northern Virginia. And then he looked like he was 105 years old when I got him, honestly. But he had these eyes that were like, would look into your soul. So you're like, oh my gosh, I have to take this dog. And he was just my best companion, my hiking buddy, my confidant, you know, my friend. And so through the years, I was able to become a licensed veterinary technician And I was able to learn from board certified surgeons and board certified neurologists. So I really got to scrub in on those surgeries and see what arthritis was all about, and, you know, scrubbing on heart surgeries and hip surgeries. And then I got to learn about my rehab department, like canine rehab. And I got my certification as a practitioner from the University of Tennessee in rehab. And so I had my own rehab department for 5 years after we moved up to Virginia. And maybe like 8 years ago, Jack started really slowing down, and I wanted to do more from him than just like give him one pill. Like, I knew there was more out there, but I was still in the training process. And so I just always kind of kept that in the back of my mind. So fast forward, you know, 6 or 7 years later after he's passed, and I was like, I can start a business where I can teach owners how to care for their pets within the confines of their own home and while working with their vet. So I wanted to empower the owner. And when I had my rehab department, I found that the owners that had the best amount of progress and kept their pets more comfortable were the ones that did exercises at home and did all the things that we talked about. So this is really up to the owner. I'm just really here to guide and educate.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you also offer some consultations where people that maybe are sort of at a loss or not quite sure what it is that they could be doing for their elderly pet can, is it like a phone consultation? How does it work?
Yeah, it's a virtual consultation, just kind of like, you know, what we're doing here. You know, technology is amazing. And the fact that I can help someone out in another state, you know, I love that. And really what we do, it's 40 minutes of, they filled a questionnaire, so I know what their, you know, what their dog is struggling with. I know what the vet has diagnosed. I know what medications they're on. And because I've had all of this background, I'm able to like help them through what they're going through right now and help make a plan for them through using some exercises, maybe adding in some supplements, maybe a little bit of learning about massage or adding in some brain games, things that can just support them as they move through their senior year. So we make a plan, and every dog is different. So you have to, it's really just contingent on the plan and the owner. Because I also realize life gets lifey, and it's hard to be the perfect owner. So I meet you where you're at and we go from there.
Do you find that that people shy away from older dogs? I mean, I guess older dogs. Or are you able to tell people, because with our clients, so there are some clients that we recommend to get an older dog just so they don't have to fight with the house breaking and all this other stuff. You get an older dog and it's okay to just lay around, take them for a little walk in the backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love senior pets, like hands down. Jack was the best one because I didn't have to be with him 24 hours a day. Jack was just happy to sleep and go out and walk every once in a while. So I wish more people wanted to get senior pets, because honestly, I find them so loyal because they've been somewhere that they weren't happy, and then they find this owner that's amazing, and they're just loyal to the end. So I definitely recommend people getting senior pets, honestly.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that we love to talk about is, you know, get a pet that fits your lifestyle. And so a lot of times when you have somebody that's working full time, or, you know, may have little children, you know, adding a puppy into the mix or a younger dog it can be very, very challenging. And so we really try to advocate for, hey, there's a lot of pets out there that need homes, and they are already house trained, and they already, you know, have kind of quieted down and are a little bit more in that don't need so much of the, you know, training and guidance. So yeah, I think that's great.
Well, they need
Yeah.
a big doggy bed in the corner somewhere and a lot of love. I mean,
And
it'd
a
be
love
happy.
They're
of
happy.
family. Yeah,
Little massage
exactly.
and they're so happy.
Yeah, and they bring so much joy. So talk a little bit about your pets.
Oh yeah, so my pets now. So I I guess, rescued 8 kittens so far. Like that've been like little bottle baby, like so small. I have 3 of them now, and I call them my old bitty kitties because they are 15 and a half.
Wow.
And they all have their own little personalities, even though they're from the same family. They're just so funny, and they all have their own like senior traits. So one is a diabetic, she has arthritis, and the other one is she's mowing all of her fur off. So these animals are just, they all have their little quirks, and we just try to keep them as comfortable and happy as possible while we do that. And then I have 2 cats, or I'm sorry, 2 dogs, and one is Rooney, who you're right when you said, find a dog that works for your family, because we had lost Jack when I was pregnant with my first daughter. And I told my husband, I was like, we need to get a dog before I have this child, because I want the dog already to be in the family. So we got Rooney, and he was about 1.5, and we got him from a kill shelter, and he's just so wonderful. And he's 9 now. I can't believe it. But he's just so athletic, and he loves to run with my husband, and he's just a great dog. And then the other one is Einstein, who he is a 10-year-old mini Australian Shepherd. And I got him from a family member who, they lived in New York City, and they had 3 boys, and they're like, we don't have room for this much energy in the house. Is there any way you can take this wonderful dog? And I said, absolutely. Like, let's make sure the dogs are okay and he acclimates, okay with everybody in the household. But he did. And so honestly, I have a senior pet old folks home now, honestly, because they're all seniors now at the same time. But they're also wonderful and lovely in their own way, and they just bring so much to the family. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of neat though, because if you have products that you find, then certainly you can test them, right?
Yeah,
You got like
right.
the test family there.
They're all testers. They're all testers.
Like, see how it
Kelly's
works.
using the CBD right now for her arthritis. It's great. Yeah, so wonderful.
That's wonderful. Cool. Any other products that you came across that you're like, this is amazing? Here's something that you wish more people would know about for senior pets.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for arthritis, I think supplements are a great idea, because they help give nutrition to the animal's joints that need it, because arthritis is such a multimodal, like, the joint is involved, but also the cartilage and the bone and, the muscles involved. So there's just so much going on that if you can add in a couple supplements that might help with the nutrition of the joint or help decrease inflammation, that would be super helpful. So fish oil is always a really good one. And your vet would definitely have the dose. Also, I really like Movoflex because it has like 5 different ingredients that have all been tested, third-party tested, to know that they all work in the joint, and that works in different areas and ways. If you don't want to do like an oral route, like the Assisi loop is actually a loop that uses an electromagnetic pulse that you can get to bring it home, and it can help decrease inflammation that way. So there's just so many different ways you can kind of work with the arthritis that I think is great, honestly. And then of course, always adding in balance and strength exercises from a rehab standpoint that people can do at home. I know you guys are trainers, so you guys know how wonderful it is when your dog does something that you ask them to do. And as they get older, they could go over cavalettis, or they could, walk up hills or zigzags and stuff to keep them more balanced and comfortable.
That's awesome. Yeah. We talk to, we do these interviews, and we always learn something new. And I talked to a lady in regards to agility, and we were talking about our senior dog Jaeger and how we had to get a ramp. Yeah. And, telling people, one of the things that we learn is that you can't just, as humans, we just kind of want to do it, right? So we put up the ramp, and then we think the dog will just go up. And what we realized is we had to make sure that he was comfortable walking on that first. So we would just lay it flat on the ground and then just walk him over it until he was fine, and then gradually increase it. And then he was comfortable going up and down into the RV with it, which was great. But, those are some of the things where sometimes the human mind, we're so focused on the end result that we don't break it down enough for the pets to learn actually all the little steps that they need to be comfortable with, some of those items.
Yeah, absolutely. I think training is wonderful to start out with, and it's going to make your life so much easier when they become a senior and you have to do some different things for them. So that's so great.
And that was one thing you were mentioning about changing some things around the house is when he would go through the doggy door, we have a block home and he had to jump down about this far. And normally nobody would think anything about it, but you could watch him go through there and he would look at the jump. So then I put blocks over to build it up. So it was a platform that he would just slowly go down. And it made such a difference. He would start going out more because he didn't have to think about, oh, I got to go down 6 inches, but just little changes like that, and your pet will tell you. I mean, they'll get up to a threshold and they'll look at it, or they'll get on the edge of the couch and look down. They'll tell you, even if it's not verbal, if you just pay attention a little bit, you can go, we got to, put something in that area or something.
Yeah, it's funny too. I remember we had a lady that she called us and she said, it's so annoying. All of a sudden the dog just is on the couch, and she's always been on the couch, but now she just barks and 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 barks. And we come over there and we're like, you know what, she's elderly, and I think she's trying to tell you that she can't get down by herself. And so we suggested one of those little doggy ramps, and now she's like, I'm up and down again. So
and it was cute too. It was very cute because all of a sudden the dog is just, I can go back on the couch again and get back down. And it was just
the dog's like, oh my gosh. Finally, they finally understand.
Train humans.
I've been telling you for weeks what's going on here.
Finally got it. Yeah, it's amazing. Even it's the subtle things that they do, the hesitations, the looking at an area while you're petting them, or it's just those little parts that really in tune owners know, and then that's a red flag that they need to talk to their vet because they need a thorough workup. There's a lot of pets out there with arthritis that the owners just don't know because they're not looking for the correct signs for it. So that's definitely one thing I teach everybody is how to know pain signs in your pet that you might, limping is one thing, but there's so many other subtle things that they do try to tell you.
What are some of the tips that you would give owners? Because I think that's a very, very valid point, is that especially when you're with the pet every day, these changes can happen so gradually and over time. And so it's very hard sometimes to see that. So do you have some tips for our viewers on what you would be looking for?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to share some. So limping is always the easiest one. If you notice your pet limping and they don't stop within a couple days, then that's a red flag and you take them to your vet. Also, the hesitation on the stairs, going up or going down the stairs. And if they stop halfway, that's also something. Also, some people don't notice it, but when they go out to use the potty, if they're not positioning correctly, or if it takes them a long time to actually position, that could be a red flag that there's something's going on, something's uncomfortable there. And these are just arthritic things, because they're also, if your dog's not eating, vomiting, diarrhea, all of those red flags that you always want to take your dog to the vet. For cats, it's if they're not eating, if they're not following you around as much, if they start hissing more at you, when you're touching them. And honestly, I love to tell pet owners that your dog the best, or cat the best. And if they're doing something, like if they're always a happy-go-lucky dog and now they're kind of hiding somewhere, or if they're, they like to do their own thing and then all of a sudden they're following you around all around the house, those are just like little red flags that you're kind of like, something just seems off, and that could warrant, a vet visit. Yeah,
I think one of the things that we heard sometimes too, because we specialize in behavior training, so we get a lot of calls on that, is that people say, all of a sudden my dog is nipping at me when I'm grooming them. It's like, well, that's a telltale sign that there is something going on that you should
like stay away from that area. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's exactly right, because that's what we, we're not vets, so we say take them to the vet because the vet will look for the pain points. And unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, but dogs and animals just have a high pain tolerance, a lot more than humans. and they'll hide it. They'll go like our Jack Russell. She can have a thorn in her paw. She won't slow down. We have to look at her like she's on three wheels, and then, vets will be able to find that area and then kind of get an idea of, okay, we got to work on that area, because it could be just a strain of a dog playing tough, like our Jack Russell swam herself sore. I broke my little Jack Russell as a puppy. She just swam so much playing fetch, and the next day, she just couldn't walk. It's like, okay, what did I do to my little dog? But that, you start noticing stuff like that, and it is important. They'll know how to look for that.
And that's a good idea, though, and maybe something to talk about is that I know that exercise is certainly important when dog age, but at the same time, you could overdo it. And sometimes a dog that is so driven for a ball or a stick or running can sometimes overdo things. And so I think as owners, we have to also be responsible and stuff. And here in Arizona, it's so hot, right? And you get people that they're out there and they're throwing the ball and it's like, heat exhaustion is a real thing that can happen very quickly, so I think those are some things to consider as well.
Yeah, honestly, I have two thoughts on that. My dog, Einstein, has luxating patellas, so his kneecaps go in and out, and he's not happy when it does actually do that. So when he goes all out, he can be limping the next, couple days. So when I throw a ball now, I just roll it a couple feet. He's really excited to go get it still, but he's not going all out every time. I'll throw it every once in a while, but really, you just kind of gauge it by how the dog is doing and just, rolling it that way. Along with your, your dog not wanting to show you how they're so stoic, right? It really goes back to how the primitive days, their primitive brain, where they're like, if I show weakness, I will get eaten out in the wilderness. And it's so interesting because that doesn't pertain at all, but they still have somehow that primitive mentality. So they're like, no, I'm fine. So it's really up to the owners. To be like, oh, something's wrong because you're looking at me weird, instead of them just telling you.
Well, and I think when it's obvious that the dog is in pain, then they are going to be in a lot of pain because so
by the time you can see it, it's a lot of pain.
So those first signs, like we talked about, the excuse me, just being stiff or having trouble getting up or not wanting to walk down the stairs. Those are the signs when you do want to make sure you start looking into what might be going on before it goes further.
Yeah, because jumping on it early is always so much better. Catching it early, it'll just delay everything, which is so wonderful. And honestly, again, massage is probably one of the best things you can do for your pet, because you're always putting your hands on your dog. And so you'll know where their painful areas are, along with where the painful areas are on arthritis. So you'll know kind of which muscles to actually work on. And I show where they are in that respect. And it helps with relaxation and pain. And it's something you can just do with your own two hands after you learn it for the rest of your life. So I always just want to say massage is just so wonderful. So, and I'd love to give a 20% off coupon to your viewers if they would like to do the massage workshop. So.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So should they use a coupon code, maybe MCS.dog?
That sounds wonderful. MCS.dog20. Is that okay with the 20 after? I'll write that down now. Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, of course, we'll share that in the description below as well. And I think this is definitely something that our viewers will enjoy, because there's so many people out there with older pets, and, we love our pets and they give us so much joy. So we certainly want to make their senior years as comfortable as possible. And nobody wants their pet to be in pain. So I think these are all wonderful tips and things to think about.
And you're right, though.
Thanks.
It takes the human to change their perspective also, because we want our dog to be a Jack Russell until ending days. And we have to realize that she's 13. She can't, chase whatever's like she used to, so you have to change it up for the dog, but still you don't want to take away their excitement. You'd mentioned the ball thing, which is kind of funny because Jaeger was a big boy, a lot of weight. And he used to chase the ball. And when he started getting older, he couldn't stop. And so we changed it up. And what we did is we sent him out into the yard, and then we rolled the ball to him. That way he didn't have to run and chase it. He was already
Yeah.
stationary, and then I would roll it to him, and then he would get that same play time.
Right.
You know, he goes,
Stimulation.
okay, here goes the ball, but he didn't have to.
Yeah, because he rolled a couple of times. I remember before we noticed that
Yeah.
he would, 105 pounds, he'd chase after the ball, and then the
Yeah.
ball would stop and he'd try to.
Yeah,
You know.
it's like, okay, we have to change it up here,
Change it
He's
up.
not-
Mhm.
But it
I love
worked
that
really
you're
well.
throwing
though.
it at him. That's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
great.
and he loved it because the play drive was still there. It was just, it was just coming at him instead of him chasing it. So
Mhm.
it worked a lot better for his joints.
The good
I'll have
thing
to
is
put
with
that in
him,
my arsenal.
yeah, he was a Chessie, so he loved the cold water. He would just sit in the ice cold water. It would
Yeah,
feel so good on his
He would
joints.
just sit there and float. We went up to Montana.
Oh,
and
I
that was
love-
after he said we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since exercises are just so necessary, balance, dogs start losing their proprioception. So like if you turn your ankle, your body knows to put all your weight on your other foot to make sure you don't fall down. And when they have arthritis or surgery, they start losing those receptors in those joints to the brain, telling them where their joints are at all times. So balance exercises can actually make those receptors stronger. So it can actually help. So that's why balance is so important. And there's just so many different exercises you can do with your dog, along with, keeping them agile.
Can you give some examples of balance
Yeah.
exercises? It's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. On my YouTube channel, I have a couple. I have a 3-legged standing. So have your dog just stand and pick up one leg, and he's just subtly moving, his weight to the other ones. I have, you can do 2-legged standing. You could do standing on a pillow or on the stairs. Sometimes you can feed your dog on the stairs. So they're kind of doing some balancing while they're eating. And then also while you're walking, just start doing some zigzags or circles with them, nice wide ones. Again, that's active balancing. So they're working on weight shifting and, making sure, they're using their limbs correctly. So it's just also cavalettes are really good. I don't know if I'm sure you guys know what cavalettes are, but they're stepping over. So your dog usually has a normal range of motion in their joints, but when they stretch, they can get really much farther out, right? So cavalettes actually make them bring their legs up more. So that's actually giving them more of a range of motion and balance while they're going over. So, honestly, I could talk about this stuff until I'm blue in the face because I just find it so interesting and so helpful, honestly. Yeah.
So that's awesome. So what's in the future for you? Anything coming up?
Yeah, so I've actually been working on this training for senior pet owners and senior pet sitters. I don't know about you. I know you guys take your, pets with you when you travel, but as when I take my kids somewhere, the hotels sometimes don't let me bring all 5 animals with me, senior pets. So I started making this senior pet training. It's called Senior Pet Sitting Training. And actually what it is it's teaching pet sitters how to care for these senior pets, which can sometimes come with complications and come with medications, diabetic animals, canine dementia. It really teaches them, a little bit of canine first aid, a little bit of how to tell if the pet is in pain. And it's also for the pet owners too, because they'll teach them exactly what the pet sitter needs to know to set them up for the best success possible. Which is also, telling all of their quirks, their daily routines, things like that when they don't really think about it. And then also one of the big ones is making sure the vet knows. And they have what is it, like the possibility, and they're able to bring the dog to the vet if they ever needed to, and they have the proper paperwork in order that they can do stuff for their pet when the owners aren't there. And it's a lot of something that the pet owners don't even realize is possible. So I think there's a lot of education out there that can help senior pet sitters care for pets easier and with less being less nervous about working with a dog like that. And also I think they could increase their pay, honestly, if they have that under their belt. Because I pay a lot for people to watch my senior dogs and cats now.
That's a great idea. I've never really even thought about that. And it's just more knowledge for the pet sitter, and they'll be into it because it makes their life and their job a lot easier if they understand what they're getting into. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's to
Great
come. Very
research.
excited about it.
All right. And so that is going to be a virtual training. It's going to be available through your website.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Great.
Find it there.
That's awesome. And so you mentioned YouTube channel. So share your social media links. And of course, we'll have links in the description below the video for our viewers to find you. But where can they find you?
Yeah, so I am on Facebook at the Senior Pet Movement, also on Instagram at the Senior Pet Movement. I have my website, www.theseniorpetmovement.com. And on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel that I'm working on. It's not completely up to date with everything, but I do put tips and tricks in there. And I always love just putting out new information because I think it's the best. And if you want to join my email list, I'd love to leave the link below because I send a weekly email with just so much information out there. You know, I'm just here to be kind of the right hand man for your vet. You know, your vet is there and they're number one. And I'm just here to help, you know, guide you and educate you and help you wherever you need it. So, you know, I hope this helps some of your viewers because what you guys are doing is just so amazing and wonderful. And I loved your gummy YouTube one the other day.
Oh, great.
that I watched.
I started putting in collagen powder, right? Which there's so many things that we can use personally and that we find out now that are natural ways to help us age better. And we just did a great interview with Happy Bond, which is a wonderful supplement with collagen and turmeric and helps with arthritis and other aging things. But, you know, those are just ways that you can incorporate making healthy treats for your pets. And I think that's such a neat thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So wonderful. You guys can do some stuff at home. It's great.
Well, Megan, this has been very fun and very interesting, all this information. Thank you so much for being on People with Passion for Pets today.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Great. Well, we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the information. And until next time, keep your paws on the road.